The Florida Nature Coast is flipping the script, and in 2025 you won't be able to ignore it anymore. Brooksville's once quiet streets now mix luxury builds with renovated historic stunners right in my neighborhood where I live. And in Weeki, Wachee and Hernando Beach, it's still surprising clients with some of the most affordable waterfront living in all of the Tampa Bay area. And then you got Spring Hill, where the commute is finally tilting things in their favor. There's a really easy commute down there, which makes it much more approachable for people as well. And then even weekends in Crystal River or Homosassa, a little bit further north on the Nature Coast, carry a different rhythm to them with what's going on up there. Living here for the last 20 years, I've watched overlooked neighborhoods fill up with fresh energy more recently. Insurance rules are moving the goalposts on affordability, and then shoreline projects are changing how communities protect their value. Not every change is necessarily visible from the outside. Some hide in flood maps that dictate what you can build, or in policies that reshape how life actually feels on a day-to-day basis. But I'm going to break down for you the changes that you simply can't ignore anymore, the ones that are helping you decide where you live, what you pay, and how life feels across all of these areas right now. The real question is, how will these shifts shape your move to Florida's Nature Coast in the future? Like I said, the Florida Nature Coast isn't just changing, it's truly leveling up nowadays. Walk down any street in Brooksville and you'll see it. Some new homes popping up, old buildings downtown like the Jennings building being developed and reopened with fresh new stores and restaurants. People catching up over coffee like it's a small town ritual in places like Mountaineer. It just holds a different feeling. In Weeki, Wachee, there's some hidden waterfront pockets opening up for new opportunities following the storms at the end of 2024. And weekends on the water in Homosassa and Crystal River moved to a new beat thanks to stronger protections in place. Take my customers Bill and Susie for example. Last year when they visited, they were very hesitant about Spring Hill as an option because they thought it was a little bit too far from Tampa. But having been here and visited, seen the new build options, the affordability, and driven the commute, just one visit, 5 days, and they're under contract for their new home. The only thing left to do was to go back up to Chicago to list their condo up there. And that brings you straight into the first big change you're going to see here, and that's the roads, the growth patterns, creating new possibilities across the Nature Coast for people who want to be close to Tampa but not pay Tampa prices. So guys, the Nature Coast is finally within reach. The Suncoast Parkway, Phase 2 under construction, Phase 3 already in design, is cutting drive times and turning once remote neighborhoods in Hernando and Citrus counties into real choices for people. Tampa to Lecanto Drive that used to drag close to probably 90 minutes is now talking about 55, maybe an hour on tops. And then suddenly Crystal River and Weeki Wachee waterfronts are on the table for families and retirees alike. You can see it on the map. The parkway pushes north, shrinking travel time from Tampa to Lecanto and some of the other surrounding areas, and even shrinking times from Spring Hill to Crystal River. Every new interchange signals the next pocket growth. And you feel it on the ground as well. Fresh pavement links communities that once felt a little bit isolated or disconnected. Lecanto subdivisions are starting to buzz in the mornings, Main Street Cafe humming with locals meeting over coffee. Weeki Wachee's rivers shimmer as the neighborhoods once dismissed as too far out from Tampa. They now start to feel part of a flow and readily achievable for people. And then developers are not missing out on those opportunities either. So subdivisions are filling up and new ones are popping up seemingly on every single corner, like Sandal Key, which is bringing the first lagoon community to Weeki Wachee Spring Hill area. And then builders incentives are back as well in a big way. We're seeing crazy deals on those, and just in general, inventory along that corridor is moving faster than it was before. Here's where the puzzle pieces finally fit together for the buyers. If you're planning to move, that's where our real estate team comes in. We know the corridors inside and out. We've been selling homes in this area for 20 years. We know which neighborhoods are shifting and where the real value is. So all of our contact information is on the screen down below. You can call us, text us, email us, or set up a Zoom in the link. We love working with folks like you, and you can reach out with the confidence that we are local experts on the ground. So right now, the Nature Coast housing market feels like a little bit of a tug of war between established resales on the one side and shiny new builds on the other side. In Spring Hill, for example, listings are starting to stack up a little bit. Streets in Sterling Hill, Silverthorne, and Pristine Place that used to flip and turn around in days are now sitting for weeks, sometimes months on end. In Brooksville's Sherman Hills, it's sometimes common to see 3 or 4 for sale signs pop up on the same street as they compete with the new builds in that neighborhood. Buyers finally have a little bit more room to breathe. They can compare, they can negotiate, and think twice about buying properties. It's just a much more comfortable experience for them. But sellers are starting to feel it too in a different way. Standing out now takes sharper pricing, stronger pricing strategy, and much better marketing. Drive north on US 19 and you'll see builder flags flapping in the wind like parade banners. In Homosassa and Crystal River, fresh subdivisions are loaded with granite countertops, appliance packages, rate buy downs that can trim hundreds of dollars off of monthly payments, all of which are very, very appealing to buyers. And then for retirees on fixed budgets or families weighing lifestyle against cost, those incentives aren't just perks, they're swinging the pendulum towards new construction and sometimes the difference between literally being able to buy a home or not. Now, insurance still hangs in the background. Citizens keeps primary homes steady with capped increases, but long-term unpredictability looms a little larger closer to the coast, where Helene and Milton last year, the hurricanes that came through, have caused a lot of unpredictability and some concern with future flood prices. For most clients today though, the real math is as simple as this. Crystal River new build with incentives can sometimes beat a Spring Hill resale on total monthly costs. And again, that's pushing more people further north. So the real decision, do you go resale where neighborhoods feel lived in and established, or do you chase the new build incentives and that first owner new car experience? I want to know what your style is. Are you the kind of person that loves the new home smell with all the perks, or do you prefer the charm of a resale with neighbors already waving from their driveway? Be sure to drop a comment down below and let me know. This one always splits the room. I'm not so much of a new build guy. I'm a little bit more of a traditional home type of person, which is why I'm in downtown Brooksville, but I certainly want to hear from you guys. And then once that housing tug of war is settled, the next question isn't financial, it's pretty much down to lifestyle. The water, the wildlife, and the weekends that make this coast unlike anywhere else in Florida. Life on the Nature Coast looks like a postcard. Clear rivers, scalloping on the weekends, and manatees gliding past the kayaks as you go. But here's the truth. Rules out here decide whether your Saturdays are wide open or cancelled overnight maybe. So let's take the manatees for example. The headline shouted "back to endangered" not long ago, but that's not the full story. The proposal keeps Florida manatees listed as threatened under the 4D rule. In Crystal River and Kings Bay, the restrictions stay strict. Jet skis throttle down, paddleboards drift past no-wake buoys, tour boats idle through manatee zones. Nothing is loosened up there. The rules is just as tough as ever. And then scalloping also drives that point home. Citrus and Hernando counties kept their seasons open. Pasco, on the other hand, shut down midsummer. I've seen locals pack coolers, push off from Homosassa ramps, and then learn overnight that the season's closed. A whole family's plans flipped literally upside down on a single announcement. The upside? Well, when the season is open, the water comes alive in all of these areas. Boat ramps are jammed at dawn, grills are fired up by sundown, and coolers are full of the day's catch. Beneath the surface, seagrass is sending a warning too. Statewide surveys show that a 15% decline has happened over the recent years. South of Steinhatchee, it's the worst. Around Homosassa and Crystal River, it's a little lighter, but still visible. And if you're wondering what that's like, try and picture a patchy lawn. Some spots are lush, others are bare, but less seagrass basically means fewer scallops, tighter boating rules, and even the springs aren't immune from that either. Take Three Sisters, for example, where waters that once shimmered are now getting a little bit cloudy as those thin out, and it's a continuing and growing problem in this area of Florida. On Florida's Nature Coast, manatee zones dictate how you can even boat. Scallop season shifts your whole weekends, water clarity ties straight into property values. Out here, recreation and regulation live pretty much side by side, and new arrivals learn it really, really fast. A Saturday on the water feels like freedom, but it's freedom inside of the boundaries that keep the coast alive. And the same balance doesn't stop at the waterline, it rolls right onto the shoreline as well, where resilience projects are reshaping how homes and neighborhoods hold their ground against the next storm. So let's talk about the resilience. On the Nature Coast, resilience is the new property line, and it's changing how homes hold their value as well. Walk Kings Bay after a storm, and instead of seawalls cracking, you'll see mangroves bending with the tide. Oyster bags stack along the shore like armor, holding back what concrete couldn't, for example. So for waterfront owners, that's not landscaping, it's a living shield that's out there. In Crystal River, the changes cut straight through the yards. Backhoes dig trenches, septic tanks disappear, and new sewer lines connect one house to another, and that's happening in Spring Hill as well, where they're undergoing that project too. It's messy work, but the payoff is going to be great long term, and it's very, very obvious. And it helps keep things like Three Sisters, for example, running blue instead of running green in the future. Cleaner water, healthier springs, and property values that hold on in the long term. Further south in Homosassa and the Chassahowiska, marshes are stitched back together. Streets that used to flood ankle deep are now draining much faster. The locals can spot more birds, more fish, and fewer sandbags, and that's good for everybody in general. Resilience here isn't just a buzzword, it's the coast rewriting how it protects itself, and it's much needed. It's happening one shoreline, one yard, and one marsh at a time. And that sets the stage for the harder truth. When storms hit and storm maps shift, The rules don't just change where you can buy, they change how you're allowed to build or build back. So let's take storms such as the ones at the end of 2024, Helene and Milton for example. They didn't just pass through here, they redrew the map of who rebuilds and who can't. If you walk around Hernando Beach, the contrast is really sharp. One home might tower on new stilts, freshly rebuilt after Helene and Milton's 7 to 12 foot surges. Next door to that, maybe an empty lot sits fenced off, stalled by new elevation rules. And then a few doors down from that, contractors hammer away on raised frames, while weeds are creeping over a lot opposite, where they're stuck in limbo. Same street, two different futures. Flood maps layer on the same divide. When FEMA's new updates roll out, neighbors discover they live in two different realities. One house cleared, another suddenly flagged. And under risk rating 2.0, the results don't always line up with common sense. I've seen inland homes slapped with higher premiums while waterfront lots skated by. That type of unpredictability really rattles the decision to rebuild. The choices are stark. Retirees who elevate their home maybe see it as peace of mind, but young families maybe are facing the squeeze. They either raise up or stay at ground level or walk away altogether. And then you've got investors trying to do the math on older homes to decide whether to rebuild, rent, or just cut their losses. Elevation isn't just a code requirement anymore, it's a fine line between resilience and retreat for a lot of people. And here's the gut punch at the end of it all. Storms, flood maps, and permitting don't just change floor plans, they reshape entire neighborhoods at this point. Who rebuilds, who sells, who leaves, and then who digs in? So here's the question, would you rather pay more up front for a raised home and know that you're covered, or roll the dice with lower costs now and hope the maps don't change on you in the future? Tell me in the comments, I'd love to know where you land on this one. And let's talk about some of the other things. So behind the fences at Crystal River 3 nuclear power plant, a giant is coming down piece by piece, and every cleared acre is a blank slate for what potentially comes next. And this process is moving in stages. NRC signs off, parcels clear, and then more workers trade radiation suits for hard hats as they start to develop some of this stuff. I've driven past those fences myself, and what used to be off limits now looks like an open canvas or a site waiting for its next chapter. Now, while that might mean fewer permanent jobs today, what that does do is it lays the groundwork for new land use in the future and a reshaped tax base tomorrow. For Citrus County, the question's wide open. Will it return to industrial land, or will it be preserved as conservation space? The answer won't just decide what jobs there are there potentially, it will also shape how this corner of the county grows and attracts investment in other areas. From a real estate lens, it's not about listings, it's about what happens when dormant land flips back into play. Families planning long-term and investors eyeing growth should keep an eye on Crystal River 3 and put it on their radar, because what looks quiet today could be the spark that changes the coast tomorrow. And that ties everything together, from roads and insurance to resilience and land use. So here's the big picture and the truth. The Nature Coast isn't standing still. From faster commutes to stronger shorelines, from housing incentives to flood maps and future land use, every change is redefining life here. We see it every single day. Clients who were once hesitant about Spring Hill are back thanks to shorter drive times to Tampa. Families who thought their only option was a suburb close to the city are choosing Crystal River or Homosassa instead, trading noise for waterfront weekends. And this is where our real estate team comes in. We're on the ground in Spring Hill, Brooksville, Weeki, Wachee, Homosassa, and Crystal River every single day, so be sure to call us or text us. We want to be your local real estate team of choice. And don't just stop here, keep on exploring. Check out this playlist we have on the channel here, as well as all the other videos about what it's really like to live on Florida's Nature Coast. As always, I want to thank you for watching. I can't wait to show you around town. I'm Ross Hardy from the Hardy team. It's time to love where you live.